Welcome to the Forever Cash podcast. I'm your host for today, Michelle Bosch. Super excited to be talking to you all today about leadership.
Welcome to the Forever Cash Life Real Estate Investing Podcast with your hosts, Jack and Michelle Bosch. Together, let's uncover the secrets to building true wealth through real estate and living a purpose-driven life.
Welcome. Excited to be talking to all of you today about leadership. This is something that has been on my radar. I've been really thinking hard about this. I've been really letting the word and what it means and what it has meant for me really percolate and sink in as I look back into my last, 18 years of leading a business, of leading a company. And so this is an attempt of kind of like, putting together some lessons, some distinctions I've made over the years on what leadership is. And the very first thing that I think we have to recognize is that leadership, I guess, has different levels. I don't want to say levels, but different aspects or different layers. I think that's the right word. And the very first layer, it's a small layer and it's really tight knit inside of you. And it starts by me saying that, the first level of leadership is you, that the very first person that you have to lead is you, is yourself. And but what I mean by that is leading yourself, mentally. And because every thought that we have becomes, a story that we tell ourselves that is either empowering or disempowering. And based on whether it's empowering or disempowering, the actions that we take or the decisions that we make are going to affect the trajectory of our lives. So that's why I wanted to start by saying that really leadership first, at the very first level, it's all about you. It's about you being able to lead yourself out of whatever limiting story or limiting belief that you might have about yourself or about the past. And that you're now, if you don't watch what you're thinking, what your thoughts are, you're perpetuating into the future. I think that's the very first level of leadership. Then the second level, I would say that once we've mastered ourselves, and if you have a family and you are, either a mom or a dad, or in general, the next level would be to be able to lead your family. Can you lead your family, in terms of values that, your family stands for, in terms of the mission that your family is here to accomplish together, in terms of either wealth, health, mental growth, spiritual growth, etc. And you cannot really extend those things to your family also unless you have, yourself let, each of those categories within you first. The third, I think, level is, okay, I'm leading myself, I'm leading my family. The natural progression, or at least as I have walked the journey, has been to lead a team. And then after leading a team, I've had now the opportunity to really lead a community and start really leading a movement within the real estate industry that is all about land investing, land flipping. And, that's kind of like what we specialize. We are here to be the number one incubator of land flipping businesses in the country and in the world, actually. And we're doing it because, we're having this vision of being, this place where anyone that wants to learn about land flipping can come to. And those, that has been kind of the progression. It has started with, leading myself, leading our family, leading our team, leading a community, and now leading a movement. And I couldn't be more excited in this new stage and in this new phase, of leadership that I find myself in, that that Jack finds himself in as well. And yeah, that all starts by being able to lead ourselves. In leading ourselves, or in leading in general, I have found out that, leaders in general are, or the 5 qualities I would say that I see that, leaders have, is that they see leadership, number 1, as a service. And that is something that, might sound selfish if you put it in the context of, leading yourself, but you have to basically be able to, in a way, be in service to you, in order for you to be able to have a full cup from which you can then give to others. And that's what I mean by saying that, when you talk about, a leader being of service and being of service to yourself first, it may sound selfish, and it is in a way selfish, but it's selfish only to be able to fill up your cup in order for you to be able to, give on that overflow to others. Otherwise, if you're, constantly giving out of an empty cup, more than likely, you will actually resent the path of leadership. I know for sure, that has happened to me in the past. So that's something to, to keep in mind, that it is service, and it is service to others in the big scope of things, in terms of helping or serving your family, serving your team, serving a community, serving, a movement, an initiative, or a project, or whatever. But that in order to be of service, to those other levels, you gotta also be sometimes generous in that service, also towards yourself, in taking care of yourself, and so on and so forth. So it requires, I think, a quality of incredible high levels of self-awareness, where you prioritize also your own personal development in order to be able to continue growing. Leaders are, number 1, here to serve, but they're, I think, in my opinion, obsessed with growth, with being on a constant journey of learning, of growth, of recognizing that the more you know, that you think you know, the less that you actually know, and that there are so many things out there, and so much genius out there in the world, and that it's up to you to go ahead and discover it and create bridges and be interested versus just interesting, being interested in what, other people's point of views, perspectives, what they're doing, and being able to communicate and listen, and from a very diverse group of people, or influences, or experiences, or perspectives out there. So that's definitely one of the key qualities as well. A second thing that I know leaders love to do, or that is a big quality of leaders, is they want in their I would say in their quest to be of service to others, there's an incredible focus on not just serving them, but serving them in a way that you actually develop others. I always feel that a leader is one that is there to create other leaders, to really build other leaders, build other people, and being able to, bring up or nurture or plant seeds and cultivate and, help that next generation of leaders grow. I think that is another incredible key quality of a leader as well. The third one, I would say, leaders also encourage a lot of strategic thinking, a lot of innovation, and a lot of action. And leaders also recognize that in, for example, encouraging innovation, that innovation is there sometimes to multiply, something within a business, to multiply a result, that it's there sometimes, that innovation is necessary sometimes to to multiply, but also to accelerate a growth in a business or in a team or in your family or in your community. That it's that they are also there to not just multiply and accelerate, but also to recognize that that they're there also to bring in stability. So just as they're accelerating and changing and innovating, that they're also there, part of their mission of what they're here to do in this, in encouraging innovation, strategic thinking, and action, that they're here also to help stabilize and to create, stability within a family, within a team, within a company, within a community, and that, they have to be basically walking that balance, between acceleration, innovation, and new and change, and stability, predictability, and consistency. I also think leaders are also, in encouraging strategic thinking, innovation, and action, are also, like I said earlier, really cognizant of, are we right now on a quest to simplify, our lives, or are we on a quest to multiply results? And that's something that is also so very important to that would seem two opposing forces, one that simplifies, one that multiplies, but that in order to multiply, you need to simplify. And that's something that I think leaders understand really well. And in simplifying, they recognize the importance of a focus, of basically of committing to one thing, of building muscle, and through repetition, by focusing on a singular activity. Like if we're talking about, the real estate industry, for us, it has been the singular activity of land flipping, creating mastery by repetition, by building muscle in that one thing, and really not being distracted by shiny pennies out there, that can really basically send you on a scenic route to success, whatever success is in the context of, what you're trying to accomplish and achieve. If you're new to land flipping, there's going to be an incredible amount of discipline that is going to be required of you as a leader to stay focused, to basically commit to one thing, to make the decision to commit to that, to one thing, and see it as a possibility of a career, and in developing a career, as a leader in this one thing, that you are going to basically be focused on skill development and on mastering that craft, your craft, which in this case could be land flipping, and that you're going to have to basically tune out other things, that you're going to have to, instead of saying yes to everything, that you're going to have to start saying no to a lot of things, or you're going to have to stop doing a lot of things in order to be able to focus and see results and bring things forward. Another aspect, of leaders that I also really admire, and I think this is a enlightened leadership style or ingredient, is that, I aspire to always, in everything that I do, be the best at what I'm doing. And I want every single person, within my team to also strive to be the best. And by always striving to be the best that you can be, and be at the highest, at your highest potential of what you can give and serve others, you are operating then at huge levels of integrity that really, in my opinion, make you a lighthouse that really allow you to bring, incredible transformation to either your family, to either your team or your company, or to the marketplace in general. And that is something that I think is not often talked about in describing a leader, but that is so supremely important. And I wanted to basically just mention it and bring it here into the conversation as well, because that's another thing that I think a lot of leaders forget, is that, you know, in operating at super high standards, you bring integrity to the marketplace, because you now not just have an opinion of how things can be done better, you know, but you now are taking the actions and setting high standards for yourself and your team to also, you know, bring solutions to the problems that you see out there in whatever your industry might be. So that's another, you know, key ingredient or key quality that I see in a lot of leaders. Another one that I see is leaders by excellence, I have found, are incredible risk takers. And I'm not talking about being reckless, you know, when I say being a risk taker, but I'm talking really about there being in the mind of a leader a direct relationship between the risk that you take, the respect that you gain for yourself after, you know, taking a big risk, and the confidence that you also have for yourself after taking a big risk. But also, those risks are taken because you as a leader are having a prerequisite or an ingredient that, again, very few people talk about, which is faith. And in leaders, when leaders have faith, they are able to really become, in a way, pioneers, and go out there and basically envision something or see an opportunity. And even though others might not see it, you still go after it, you pursue it, and you basically, by going after it and pursuing it, you pave the path for others to follow in the future. And that's something that I also, you know, in my reflections, you know, like I said, over the last few weeks on leadership, I noticed that leaders are also incredible big risk takers. Not to say that they do not, like I said earlier, learn from others, because I think humility is something that is also another ingredient that a good leader should embody and should practice. In that, yes, you know, I'm willing to go places that others have not attempted before and take risks, but also recognize that success leaves clues. And that, you know, and that there are other people out there that might have, you know, a lot of who's, that I like to call, that have the answers, that have the expertise, that have knowledge at a much higher level than you might have in a specific area. And you incorporate, you know, that person's view, whether in the form of mentorship or coaching or whatever, and follow the success, you know, that, or the clues of success that person, you know, might have for you in an area that you might not be an expert yet, because you have not developed that muscle memory. You have not developed that level of repetition to have the level of mastery that it would require you to be also, you know, great at that new thing that you might want to start. So I noticed, like I said, you know, leaders are big risk takers, but I think that it's a risk that is as a result of having faith. It's a risk that is not reckless. It's a risk that comes from a desire, yes, to learn from those who have gone before them, but also a risk that they're willing to take because they don't want to always just depend on old ways of doing things, and are willing, again, bringing this theme of innovation, and are willing to innovate and create new paths, create their own paths from what already is out there that is tested and that works. And at the beginning, you know, you may need to follow a specific process, a specific recipe, a specific formula, a specific method. But then eventually, leaders are, I think, undoubtedly going to be incredibly creative and innovative, and are going to bring their own spin, their own flavor, to whatever it is that they're working on and that they're looking to master. So that's another ingredient. Pioneers, like I mentioned earlier, I see by excellence or in excellence, a lot of the leaders that I myself admire and that I'm inspired by are having that incredible pioneering spirit of going first, of preparing basically the ground and going there before, and opening up new ways for others to follow, for others to see what you're seeing, and most often in the beginning, walk alone. Many leaders are also contrarians, and what I mean by that, it's nothing negative, but on the contrary, it speaks of that person, or of the person that embodies leadership, that is willing to basically think for themselves and see that wherever everyone is going towards is not necessarily the path for them, and recognizing that basically, and willing to go against the grain, that if everyone is chasing towards one direction, that they're going to chase in the opposite, or go in the opposite direction. It takes some stomach. It requires a little bit of having a block of ice in your stomach in occasion. But I also recognize that is something that's also a key quality that I see in leaders, and that I absolutely admire and respect. And it's their ability to basically just go to their own rhythm, to their own beat, to create their own path, to forge a new future, to not perpetuate the past, and to go where others have not gone first. If it's in their families, it might be, you might be the very first one with a college degree. You might be the only one. Leadership is a lot about going first, and about being the first, and about being the only one, whether in a room, or in a project, or in a business, or in an industry, or the only one with a specific vision, with a specific set of skill sets, and so on. So I see a lot of leaders being first, going first, and being the only ones in the beginning. And then eventually, when others recognize that, that leader and that contrarian has pioneered a new way of being, a new way of doing, a new way of thinking, others eventually follow and replicate. Leaders normally are different, and because they're different, and if you're listening to me right now, more than likely you are different, and therefore you do different. And those things that we do different, and that way of being that is different, eventually others replicate, and that means that others follow in our footsteps. Eventually, even though at the beginning maybe that journey is a lonely one, and because nobody can see what you can see, and you're bringing that something that is unseen into the scene, and in the meantime, in that process of making basically I would say the unreal real, and having actual physical manifestation of whatever that goal might be, or that result might be, it'll take a little bit of that self-confidence, self-awareness, positive self-talk to see it through till the end, until you have a result that actually will speak louder than whatever words you might have. And that's, I think, perhaps the last thing that I want to end up with, is the fact that leaders don't just speak about things, but they actually demonstrate, and demonstrate with results. And once you have those results, if you're in the land flipping space, for example, once you have those results, and you may be experiencing, may or may not, it could be that that this is your situation or not. But if you're in a situation where your spouse is not sure, and in any case, they decided that they're going to support you, and that they're going to not belittle your attempts in going in a completely new direction within real estate, and you start land flipping, and they're supportive, but at the same time, they have that little bit of doubt the moment that you start creating a result, and creating in results, usually in the land flipping space, are 10, 15, $20,000 land flips, that result starts creating confidence and faith in what you're doing, and starts creating a follower within your family, that is excited, that is passionate in getting in alignment with what you're doing. But you sometimes, have to have that solitary journey at the beginning. And that is normal, that's something that I have experienced in the last more than 18 years, more of like, I would say, my lifetime. And as a child, actually, when I was growing up, it was quite difficult, because it almost always left me feeling like I never really fit in. And that was because, I was doing something different, or I was doing things differently, or I was approaching things differently, whether it be a simple subject in school, math, or a project, in college. But it's a rewarding, it's a rewarding journey. It's a rewarding process, or commitment, or lifetime commitment, to be of service to others, to be willing to think for yourself, to have that power of focus, to lead by demonstrating versus just by speaking, to envision, to do, to plan, to strategize, and to take risks and pioneer in ways that others, perhaps, within your family or within your circle of influence, have never, pioneered before, or have gone before. And if you would like to join us in our upcoming masterclass, starting March 15th, if you're listening to this episode right now and you're ready to, start something new, to commit to something, to have the discipline to focus for 5 days, just 5 days. What is 5 days in the context of a lifetime? To give yourself the opportunity to basically learn something new, and not just learn something new and receive and absorb information, but actually also do and come along in a journey of taking action every single day during those 5 days. This is a masterclass that is for you. This is an experience that is for you, that you're ready for, and that is all about implementation. It's not just about you receiving information and education, but it's more than anything, above all, implementation. Because like I was saying earlier, leaders need to have results. There's no point in taking big risks, or there is a point in taking big risks, I should say, sometimes, in having no results, because sometimes those failures and those mistakes, also are incredible accelerated learnings that kind of like shift us or pivot us into the right direction. So if you've had, situations in the past where, you've taken a big risk, a big leap of faith, and that didn't work out, please be assured that sometimes those things are meant to happen and are there to be a redirection from the universe into the one thing that you should be focused on, that those failures are not real failures. And I know that's cliche, but if you are learning as you are failing, and some people, have a failure, make a mistake, and it takes them not just hours, days, weeks, but years to recover from maybe a wrong financial decision or wrong risk that they took. And it's not, the problem is not the risk. The problem is how long you spent basically really feeling pitiful for yourself for a mistake that you may have done in the past, or for a risk that you may have taken in the past. We need to learn to really very, very quickly figure out, when you stumble, when you are making a mistake, what was the learning in that situation, so that you can pivot and move in the right direction. So if you have been, burned in the past with houses, if you've been burned in the past with trying to figure out multifamily and the complexities that come with that, join us March 15th. You can go to landprofitmaster.com, landprofitmaster.com, and it's going to be hosted inside of our Facebook group, the Land Profit Masterclass Facebook group. When you go to Land Profit Master, make sure that you hit join the group so that you can immediately be brought into the Facebook group. That's where all of the goodness is going to be taking place. This is where all the actual journey content and action steps that you're going to be taking alongside us, implementing with us, to get you set up and really pave the runway for your first land flip, or to scale your existing land flipping business, because we're going to be talking a little bit of both. We're going to be talking about some basics, some fundamentals, but also we're going to be talking about mastery and about eventually, becoming not just a leader within you, within your family, but a leader of a team of people that are going to be there, to help you, to support you in your entrepreneurial journey of land flipping, in serving sellers and in serving buyers. Eventually, that's what we're all working towards, in order to be able to enjoy, the beauty and the rewards of freedom that come from an entrepreneurial journey and from a leadership journey, is to be able to know that you have gone through the process of not just doing to build muscle, and taking the steps, but then that you then have moved on eventually into planning, and how your next, 3 quarters are going to look like. We're already on, February 22nd. By the time we get to the masterclass, it's going to be March 15th. So almost a first full quarter of 2021 will have been gone, but you can plan with us, how the remainder of 2021 is going to look like. We do some strategic planning, and we're going to be teaching you, to move from doing to planning, from planning to actually strategizing and envisioning, and then eventually, moving you through those 4 things, so that you can do that in the context of a team that is going to help you have a self-managing company that can allow you to, to create not just profits, but like I said earlier, to be in service of sellers, to be in service of buyers, and to create triple wins, triple wins in your life, with sellers, with buyers, and with, your own specific business, individual business as well. So super excited to, if you feel called to do something new, to scale up the business that you have been working on right now, we would love to have you. The masterclass again starts March 15th. It is, you can register at landprofitmaster.com, www.landprofitmaster.com. We would love to have you there. Jack and I will be co-hosting. We are going to have also some of our coaches come in and also co-teach with us certain sessions. We're having implementation sessions as well, which is something that we just introduced in our event, in our masterclass event in January, and it was such a wild success that we're going to be doing that yet again in this masterclass as well. We got an incredible amount of positive feedback, and because it's all about that, it's all about implementation, results, you doing the work, having results, so that those results can eventually, really inform or create or build mastery, confidence, respect for yourself, respect within your family, and more than anything, capability, so that you can continue evolving and growing. Leadership is about that constant spiral of evolution, of growth, of being on this ongoing and lifetime journey of learning. And we couldn't be more excited to have you guys there. So landprofitmaster.com, March 15th. We would love to have you there. And if you enjoyed today's episode and this topic of leadership, I would love for you to give me a review. Go ahead and give us a 5-star review. Share this episode with someone that you feel needs to hear this as well, that is on this path, or that is excited about being on a path of leadership. And with this pioneering spirit, with this forging a new path, forging a new reality, bringing the unseen into the seen. If you know of anyone that, loves this kind of stuff and is on this quest for growth and for alignment with their highest potential and getting things done, go ahead and I would love it if you could also share this episode with them. With that, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate every single time the opportunity that you give me to come and spend some time, in your ear, in your head, in your heart. And I look forward to another episode together. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Enjoyed this episode? Then make sure you like, subscribe, and post your comments and questions below the video. We're looking forward to hearing from you.